Hello, Thirsty Souls, and welcome back to our Quench Talk. This is Quench Talk number 2. We had one this past week on dating tips. And today we're going to be talking about the most important thing in the entire world, our children. I don't even have any kids yet. And despite that, there's nothing more important to me than my children. I don't even have them yet, and yet I think about them all the time. There's nothing more important in the entire world. Nothing. The Jewish educational system, and this is not just for Jewish kids, I think this is for kids in general, specifically in religious schools though. When I was in high school, I was probably the most miserable teenager that ever lived. I don't think anyone was as unhappy as I was. And I think a lot of teachers and authority figures and educators think that when kids come to school, you give them knowledge. That's it. They sit in your classroom and you stuff this knowledge down their throat, and you give them Judaism, you teach them about God, and you teach them about the Torah. And I don't know how it's possible to teach children about God and Judaism and make them love it if they're coming to school with issues that no one is talking about. I was just teaching in a high school here in Florida this past year. I actually just quit my job for many reasons. But what I saw there taught me so much. We are not here just to teach children about Judaism because it actually is not going to do anything if children are miserable. If children or students or young adults are miserable and are having issues at home or in their personal lives, us teaching them about Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac is not really going to do a lot. In order to educate a child really for the rest of their lives so that knowledge stays with them, you need to touch their soul, you need to touch their heart. So many educators today are only touching their minds. They're only reaching their minds. You have to touch the soul, the heart of a Jew in order to make them love God, in order to make them understand Judaism and make them love Judaism and choose it when they're older. And you cannot do that if when a child comes to school, you just stuff knowledge down their throats. I really believe we have to ask our students how they're feeling, how they're doing. So many of these kids are coming into the classroom with big issues that no one wants to talk about. There are kids who are doing drugs in school. There are 13, 14, 15-year-old girls that are sexually active. They don't know what they're doing. They're hurting themselves. There are girls who are letting young men in high school take advantage of them. And they're coming into the classroom and we think how these girls or these young boys who are coming into school with such massive issues, they're in pain. I see so many high school students in pain. Again, I was a high school teacher for 8 months this year. So many kids are in pain, and yet we just try to make them do well on their tests, and it's not gonna work. We have to be there emotionally for our students. We have to ask them how they're doing, ask them how we can help. Give them advice about real topics, subjects, things that they're going through in their lives. Show them that you care. I was the most miserable teenager in the entire world. And if someone had come to me in high school and said, you know what is the most important thing in the school? Not the Torah, not God, not Judaism, you're the most important thing. Talk to me about your life. What are you going through? Why are you skipping classes? I ditched most of school in high school. Why are you skipping so much class? Why do you have no friends in high school? Why don't you talk to anyone? If someone had cared about me, I think I would have been a sponge for Judaism, for godliness, for goodness, but I couldn't be. I didn't take a lot from high school. The Judaism that I practice now is because I did it on my own later. I'm not saying that I didn't get anything from high school. I don't want to be ungrateful. But if I was happy in high school, had someone reached out and said, you're so important. You're the most important thing in this high school. Not the things that you're learning. I would have been so happy, and I would have felt like someone cared about me. And I would have, my heart would have been open to the knowledge I was learning, and I think my life would have been a lot easier. We have to stop treating children like textbooks, like you just poke and prod them and they'll be full of knowledge as soon as you teach it to them. They're complex human beings who need love and attention, and if we ask them how they're doing, then that knowledge, that Judaism that we teach them will touch their heart and their soul. So, I'll see you next time and stay thirsty.